June 26, 2024 City Council Finance Committee meeting. Please be advised that FATV is conducting an audio and video recording of this meeting for public broadcast. Committee members present this evening are myself, Dina Talley, Zarella, Walsh, Cruz, and Boschman. I ask that anyone in the audience who is recording this meeting to please identify themselves for the record now by standing and stating your name and city of residence. There are none. All electronic devices, please be placed into silent mode. Don't see anybody from the audience for public comment, and there's no one on Zoom. So we have one item on the agenda, and that is Order 14424, that the City of Fitchburg hereby approves the expenditure of grant funds from MassDOT Aeronautics in the approximate amount of $821,730 for the purpose of grooving the 32 by 14 runway. Mr. Kettle, do you have anything to say?
Thank you. Chairman Dina Talley, City Councillors. At the meeting last week, you know I'm a mechanical engineer, and words mean certain things to me. So if I hear suspension, that means lift. I didn't want anything lifted. I wanted it to go straight through because I wasn't familiar with the term. So I said no. So it's all my fault, and I appreciate everybody being here to actually hopefully approve it tonight. And I thought it was going to be a short meeting, but by the amount of water that the President's brought in here, I hope it's not that long. So what is grooving of the airport, of the runway? Can I show some stuff out here?
Sure. Yeah.
Just to explain, Councillor Boschman called me this afternoon and asked me to try and bring some paperwork in.
Great, yes. I recognize. I want to make sure I get my money's worth.
So
there you go. He gave me the extra one, Councillor. Or they go the opposite way.
Well, what is grooving of the runway? Statistics show that grooving of the runway makes the runway far, far safer for jets and also light aircraft. And the grooves are across the runway. So if you look at the first slide, that is, or the first photograph, that is a grooving machine. It actually cuts grooves across the runway, an inch depth by 3/16 wide. On the Fitchburg Airport, the runway is 100 foot, and they go 10 foot in, 80 foot they groove, and then 10 foot with no grooving. So if you look at the next side, these are diamond cutters. There's 9 cutters. So they have to go across the runway 5,000 feet many, many times. You see the long, like a python there? There's 2 hose pipes. One actually sucks up the cutting of the diamond tips as it cuts, and the other one is, and it supplies water, and the other one is to take the slurry away. We had to build a 75 by 75 by 3 foot deep tank, not a tank, but a hole in the ground to place the slurry. The water dissipates back into the ground. It's not dangerous. You couldn't drink it, but it's not dangerous. And then they come and take the slurry away. So that shows that process there. Now, on the third one in, you'll see he's doing the measurement. And they are very, very specific on what they do. And finally, you'll see a part grooved runway. The dark area, or the greyish area to the right there, is where the runway is grooved. It's just after a storm, and you can see where the grooves are. It actually dissipates out of those grooves into the side and flows away. So any charter jet or any jet that's coming into the airport, if we've got grooving, he knows he can definitely stop within the 5,000 feet. Now, it's not just for landing, it's also for takeoff. So, and that is one of the most critical things. If you're taking off in a jet, you have a certain speed that you've got to acquire. And then you've got to say, are we okay to lift? So if you're not okay to lift, you apply the brakes. Without the grooving, you'd go straight off into the river at the far end on both sides. With the grooving, you'll stop and you'll come off. So I predict that we will get a lot more jets coming into the airport now we've got the grooving done. Now, the amazing thing is that when we first did the investigation into how much this was going to cost, it was $410,000. That was the grooving cost. So I came to you and I said, could we please have an could we please have a grant or appropriation of the money? $82,000 that I was told that actually came from the airport resources. So we got the money to pay because MassDOT paid 80% of it. We had 20% to pay. However, when the true figures came in, it was double that. Yeah. Now, could I come back and ask for another $82,000? No, because it's not in our budget, and I'm sure the City Council wouldn't approve it. So I went back to MassDOT, and I pleaded, you know, we need to have this done. And they came to the party, and they paid 95%. MassDOT did, which is very, very unusual. So we've had all the grooving done. It's not just grooving. Once it's grooved, it has to be cleaned with a high-pressure washer. That takes a day and a half. It then has to be coated with a seal coat, and then we have to apply the lines, the white lines, the thresholds, the stop areas, and the center line of the runway. And that's being done on Saturday of this week. So that's where we are. I think it's a great asset, and I would request that you do approve the transfer of the money into the account so that we can pay the bills.
Councillor Cruz.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank you, Manager Kettle, for all the work you continue to do here in developing and expanding the airport. Can you go into a little bit how this development is going to help economic development for the airport and the city in general?
Well, as I said, it's definitely going to generate more airplanes coming into the airport. Mm-hmm. And at the moment, we have 56 corporate jets, 56. And within the past 4 years, that's gone up from about 30 since we increased the length of the runway. So in terms of benefit to the city, massive benefit to the city, to all the businesses around here that the corporate jets are flying into. So I foresee, in all honesty, the big businesses today want to be able to fly into where their businesses are. And this, I believe, is going to be a massive effect for the future. We're going out with the RFEI, the request for expression of interest again, because it failed on the last one. And we're going to go farther afield to where the businesses are, like California and Florida, and get them to bring their businesses here. And if they know we've got an airport here, it's going to be a massive help to the city.
Mm-hmm. And the grooves they add to the likability of coming and landing here. 100%.
I've had people say that they've been flying here, and because we didn't have the grooving done, and it was raining, they diverted to Worcester, or they diverted to Hanscom. So we lost. Maybe every time they stop, they buy between 200 to 1,000 gallons of fuel, which is an enormous asset to the airport. So,
will the grooves increase the size of the planes they can come in, or no?
No, the biggest one we've had actually was above a Falcon 50, which is the designated one from the FAA. And he came in and he asked me a load of questions, and I gave him the answers, and he said, "I'm coming in." Well, when he came in, it scared me to death because I've never seen such a big aircraft. 110-foot wingspan, they were over the runway, the width of the runway. And he stopped before Echo, which is maybe a half of the length of the runway. He took 1,000 gallons of fuel, and he was off before Echo. He still had another half the runway length to go. So the runway itself has a rating of something like 50,000 pounds. But that's every single day, 5 or 6 aircraft coming in. So if you've got one coming in at 86,000, like the Global Air, the Global 7500, I beg your pardon, that one can come in, but not every single day. So, you know, it all depends on your knowledge, the knowledge of the airport and knowledge of the runway and everything else. So,
And if these grooves come in, the planes that can land when it's wet in the rain, or even if it's just still wet, we become a more viable option for them to come
100%.
to refuel, to spend money here in Fitchburg.
100%.
Okay.
As soon as we get the lines finished, I've got, as I said, 56 corporate jets. All those corporate jets are going to get an email from the airport saying we now have grooving at the runway. And that will make a big difference when they come in.
Thank you, Mr. Kettle. I yield the floor.
Councillor Bushman.
Pete, I'm glad you made it today, and I'm glad you brought the piece of paper. Very, very, very happy. Networking, your pilots, and I keep on using the rich and famous, have that for toys for their, and they travel all over the United States. Some even go to Europe in their planes, I was told.
They do.
All right. Do they do any networking for Fitchburg? Any at all? Or is it just all fun and game for them? They got a place to land. They pay us a little bit of money in taxes and real estate taxes. Not a lot, Pete. You give me the hairy eyes there. It's not a lot. And then they take off and they go home to their planes. My question is, these people got money. Some of them that own these airplanes have businesses, and word of mouth talks. Do they do any advertisement for Fitchburg?
All the time.
Well, how do we know, Pete?
Because they tell me, and I believe them. I can't tell you any more than that. I mean, they haven't had any documents published to say, look, this is what I did at this airport. But if you sat in here at the commission meeting on Monday night, you'd have heard Paul Hathaway. He has a TBM. It's a turboprop. And he spoke about the people and the airports that he visits and expands the benefits of flying into Fitchburg. It's such a nice position to be in because people that are flying from Maine will stop for fuel. So they either go to Hanscom Field or to Worcester. Now they're coming here because the cost to land is less than the mass port airports, and also the cost of fuel is less. So yes, it's a big asset, and they do their job as far as I'm concerned. And could I just please say one thing? It's not for the rich and famous. There's people down there that have cars that have more holes in from rust than anything else. But this is what they like to do, and they spend the money on their aircraft like a lot of people go fishing. They want to go fishing. They want to fly their aircraft. It's not the rich and famous.
No.
I'm one of those people. I'm not rich and famous, but I like to fly.
You're famous to us.
So,
No, I was just going to tell you, Pete, I understand what you're saying. I'm going to vote for it. When I talk about the airport, don't get me wrong. I don't want to get rid of the airport. I want the airport to be very much self-efficient, that the residents of our city don't have to go into their pockets to pay for something and I keep on going back to the very thing I kept on telling you from the very beginning. How I don't use it, and the vast majority of people don't use it in the city of Fitchburg. As much as you don't like to hear it, they don't use it. And I'm 70, in my 70s, and I think I took one ride in the airplane, and that was the same airplane that ended up in a Corvin. And the guy got me scared when he took a sharp right turn, and I was looking down, and I said, oh, my God, take me back. I was scared. So I never went back up with him. But I'm just telling you, that only one time. And you probably know the guy because his first name was Ray. I think you do know him. So
I can't comment on that. I don't honestly know. I believe that at the end of this month, we will be in the black. I believe we will be. At the end of last month, we were slightly in the black by, I believe, about $6,000. And this month, even though we've had this grooving taking place, that's taken about certain areas of 3 weeks, at the moment, we've sold $56,000 worth of gas, of Jet A and 100 LL fuel. And the one thing that is current, every month, the rents coming into the airport. So if you add the rents and also the fuel together, we'll be at about $1.1 million. Now, I was in Barnes Westfield today, and you know what that is. It's a big military airfield as well as being private. Their revenue was $1.1 million, exactly the same as little old Fitchburg that's here. And that has the F-15s in it. And I was amazed when I heard this.
Yeah, well, Pete, let me put it this way. You like the airport a lot. You're the commissioner, and you did one hell of a job versus some other people. I don't want to put nobody down, but you do a really good job as a commissioner. You're leaving sometime this year or early next year. not everybody works the same as you do. Just like not everybody works the same as me or him. So we expect you. I expect high standards from you. Expect high standards from yourself. That's the threshold. But we could get somebody in there that just looks at it as a job, and the airport goes from here to here, and then they're right back in here with us, and Marcus and I will be fighting against one another again, saying, how come we're losing money, ba, 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 ba.
But
You
in
know?
this case, it's up to us to determine who's going to get the job and make sure that they have the qualities that you and everybody else is looking for.
Well, it's not up to us.
I mean, I've been asked if I will stay on the Airport Commission, and I'm thinking about it because I started on the Airport Commission in 2003. So I've worked for the city since 21 years. So, you know, and I retired in 2012, and maybe it's time to start having a little bit of a rest and doing what I'd like to do.
Drive your motorcycles?
So, maybe, maybe. So, but yeah, I mean, it's up to us to get. And I actually offered to stay on an additional 6 months from when Mayor Di Natale was here. And I extended that for an additional 6 months. But the additional 6 months really should be advertised now. Get somebody in within 3 months and let me train that person for 3 months so that when I leave, he's already got 3 months of experience. That was a suggestion I put in writing to the mayor.
And how do we stand on that?
Council, can we stick to the grant, please?
Well, I'm just asking.
We're not
All
going to
right.
get into when we're going to hire his replacement.
All right,
Let's stick to the grant.
we'll stick to the grant.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion made, but I had President Zarella with his hand up. Did you have a question?
Just one. It's
Or withdraw my motion.
Okay. Council, go ahead.
it's technically off topic of the grant, but it's in response to something that has been said, but I'll keep it very brief.
No, I mean, I allowed some latitude, but now we're getting into, you know, the HR
Right,
department
right.
and when we're going to post the job.
So I'm not familiar, obviously, with the pilots community, but would I be correct in assuming that, like most communities of interest, pilots talk to one another and share kind of tips and info about what they have experienced and what, where they've had good experiences, where they've had bad experiences, oh, you should really check out this place or that place. Like you said, like fishermen, like any other hobby community. Is that an accurate description of your impression of kind of the general community of pilots?
That's absolute fact. The Fitchburg Pilots Association has about 175 members. We only have 124 aircraft down at the airport, so there's an additional 50-some-odd people that come in from other airports. Every month they have a meeting on a Tuesday night, and every Saturday morning they have a group meeting in their Fitchburg Pilots Association hangar that they built themselves and paid for it themselves. That's the type of interest that there is down there.
And so thank you. And that's kind of what I was driving at is we can't make people advertise Fitchburg for us as a condition of using our airport or anything. But if we give them a good experience, which I think we are doing, they'll want to. We won't have to tell them, hey, do me a favor, talk up Fitchburg. They'll be talking to their buddies in whatever other city around the country they happen to have flown into and say, hey, if I just flew out of Fitchburg. If you're ever in Massachusetts, check them out. They're pretty good. And that's, I don't think that's something we need to try to force or anything. I think that's just a consequence of doing good business. And that's all. I'll yield the floor.
Motion approved, 144-24.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve 144-24. My only comments on this is for the people that saw this order, I don't know how well people like to read into things, but they thought that the city was giving $800,000 to you for pavement reconstruction, and I had to, call SWAT in to get them to walk off the ledge because they,
Right.
you see how much paving's been going on in the city this year, 0. So they understandably were like, what the hell are you guys doing? And I said, well, did you read the order? It's a grant. Call Mr. Kuchmarek and Mr. Cronin if you don't like the grant, okay? I mean, the Mass Aeronautics Division, the FAA, they take very good care of these airports because the airport is heavily subsidized by them from a capital needs perspective. And so I try to tell my constituents that the city is not going to send away $800,000 of your money that our legislature has appropriated through Mass Aeronautics to give to the city of Fitchburg. It's just not going to happen. Nope. But it is, for orders like this, it is insulting to a lot of people who are paying attention. Most aren't, but enough are. You see the condition of our city streets and how the state government has said for 20 years now, go to hell. They don't care. But here, $800,000, you need it, you got it. It's a hard pill for many taxpayers to swallow because the priorities are grossly out of whack for many. Not saying the airport's not a priority, but they can't separate the two. They see this getting done, but not this, and then when someone says we don't have the money, they know that's BS. All right? It's a prioritization thing. So when I saw this, I immediately said, oh, people are going to think that we're, and it did happen, and I had to make sure they understood it's not the case.
Thank you.
I think the airport is the best when we don't have to worry about it. The problem is we've had to worry about the airport for the last 15, 20 years. And that got the public's attention about it, which then triggers the questions of, well, what good is it for me? What good is it for the city? I think the airport is the best when no one talks about it, because that means it's running on a self-sufficient basis as it's meant to be. And we're back at that point now. But I think a lot of the issues the airport has had over the years partly was management, but I think a larger part of it was just the slowness of getting it modernized. We were falling behind in modernization. And now we are at the point where we're practically fully modernized to, again, not only be self-sufficient but make money, because I think a big part of why we weren't making money is because we were not marketable, because we were not modernized. Our airport was very outdated. It no longer is, thanks in large part to the federal and state taxpayers, but it doesn't matter. It's now made a complete 180. So while I hear questions about what good is the airport to the city, there are direct and indirect benefits, and it's been quantified and provable. But for me, if I don't have to hear about it in terms of its financial needs, it's running just fine for me. There are a lot of other services that we provide in this city that many members of the public never use, but they pay taxes on it. You know, there's a lot of elderly people in our city who don't have kids in the school system, but their taxes go to subsidize the schools.
Right.
I mean, you can go down the list.
Oh, we don't want to talk about
So just because people don't use the airport by and large doesn't mean it's not an asset, doesn't mean it's not important, but at least with the airport's sake, the people who do use it are the ones who keep it going, as it should be. So in a year like this year and next year, my tax dollars are not subsidizing the airport. None of ours are.
Right.
That's how it should be.
Right.
Because it's a business.
Yeah.
It just hasn't been that way for the last 10 years for a whole myriad of reasons. So
I accept that.
this is necessary, and if anything, it'll just further improve the traffic. So
It will.
why
Thank
not?
you.
Yes, Councilman.
I agree with the thrust of everything the chair has said, but I have to disagree in one particular, which I don't think is the way you meant it. But I think the airport is running best when people are talking about it. But when they're talking about it as one of the city's assets, not as a political controversy, as it has admittedly been for 15, 20
That
years.
comment in the context of the council. Like, when we don't have to talk about it, I guess I'm biased because for 15 years, that every time we've talked about it, it wasn't good. So, you know, there were times where when I saw an airport item on the agenda, I didn't want to come to a meeting because it was just, here we go, you know, the usual. But thanks to Mr. Kettle and other aspects of it, it's turned a big corner. And now when we talk about it, it's positive.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's a long time coming.
And I think it would be great if more people in the public realized what we have, whether it's something they'll use personally or not. It is one of the things that's, I think, going to continue to drive improvement in the city of Fitchburg.
Well, the airport just had an Airfest, right? Their annual Airfest that the
Yes.
Pilots Association
Yes.
puts on. I mean, that's one big way to get community involvement and education as to what this facility is, because I bet you a lot of people in the city don't even know it exists. So I would encourage the commission to have more events like that bring people to the airport that aren't pilots,
Right.
to bring awareness. So we should be doing a lot more of that.
For fear of being reprimanded, can I just say one thing? There's not one document that comes out of the city that says we have an airport. Not one.
Really?
Really.
Okay.
I picked up the historic document that's just here, and it says visit the historic town of Fitchburg. Wouldn't it be nice to say fly into the historic town of Fitchburg? Just put it on the document. And the main one that's given to everybody that comes into the city, the big brochure, doesn't even mention the airport.
Wow. Okay.
So just a point, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Ladies.
Was there another motion made?
The motion was made and
second.
second.
Okay, motion made and seconded to approve 14424. If there are no objections, it's taken under unanimous consent and approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Second?
Motion made and seconded to adjourn. No objections. We are adjourned. Please stay tuned for the special city council meeting soon to take up this matter as a full council. Thank you.